Hello and welcome everyone to the Smarter Online Safety Podcast. I'm your host, Jocelyn King, the Queen of Online Safety.
Hi, everybody. My name is Roger Caniff.
Hi, I'm Daphne.
Hi, my name is Graham McCracken.
Hi, I'm Todd Shipley.
I am so excited. We have with us the one and only Jack Canfield. Hello and welcome everyone to the Smarter Online Safety Podcast, where we help you stay safe and sane online. I'm your host, Jocelyn King. And today I'm literally beyond honored to welcome the world's #1 productivity guru and New York Times author of Getting Things Done, the legendary David Allen. So the clarity of mind of GTD is so critical to what you do to understand how to stay safe online. You know, most people, as dire as all the statistics are about cybercrime and, and hackers and everything that could happen to you, I can't picture a more important area of people's lives for them to have clarity. Because in most of the world, and not all, but in most of the world, the country they live in is in peacetime. But online, there literally is a cyber war raging 24/7 that they can unwittingly get caught up in by an accidental click. You know, over 80% of all hacks are from user error, you or me or somebody listening, clicking on a link, or that's bad, or calling the phone number that is texted to them saying it's their bank or whatever, and and allowing the bad guys to take advantage of them. And so being in a state of panic and rushing is exactly what hackers want. So you are the antidote to that with the clarity and the mind like water. And I think,
Yeah, but come on, Jocelyn. I'm not the antidote. How do you fix that? You might be, or other people certainly might be. But the fact that that happens,
mhm.
you know,
But I think if you can get into that state.
pardon my French, but shit happens. And this stuff.
What's interesting, I thought about this last night. People are waiting for something to happen. Most people, if they get hacked, my sister got hacked last week, by the way. Now she's all like, "What do we do? What do we do?" You know, is you're waiting. But here's the E. Don't wait for the hack to be the E. The E right now says that everything is under under siege. I read some statistics recently that one study said a cyber attack happens every 39 seconds, which is over 2,200 cyber attacks a day.
Right.
I think Microsoft said that it detects about 600 million threats a day. There
Yes.
was a study that said that I think 45% of professionals had fallen victim to cyber attack or
Yes.
scam. I
Yes.
walked into the kitchen about a year ago. My wife's on the phone with someone with an Indian accent, and I
Mhm.
heard her say at one point, said he was from Microsoft. Or no, it was a face Apple, and he said, "Do you have a problem with your computer?" And he had an Indian accent, and he said, "No, no. Will you give me control of your computer? I'm going to put this up here. You say yes, then I'll fix the problem." I said, "Don't you dare!"
Yeah.
And it was totally a fishing expedition to take
Right.
over her computer and download all this reality. And so, if we know that there's all this happening, that's the E that most people are not paying attention to. And so,
Correct.
we have to now take response. Now, there's only 3 responses we can have to anything: it's your thoughts, your images, your visual thoughts, really, and your behavior. And so, we have to change our thinking, our mindset around cybersecurity, and we also have to change our action. And for most people, what it is called inaction. They're not doing anything, they're waiting. And so waiting is a response, but the outcome often is, you wait too long. I mean, wouldn't we all have liked to have bought Bitcoin when it was $8? One of my young son at the time, his friend bought it when it was $8 in high
Ah,
school. He's
yes.
now, I think he's worth $30 million. He's 30 years old.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity. I didn't do it. I waited too long. So basically, the same thing is true here. So I think ultimately it gets out of like blaming anybody because
Mhm.
we're always responsible for our response to the events. And that's what we have to like really focus on if we want our life to be better. What are the responses of highly successful people? And in this case, in your world of cybersecurity.
Where bug bounties get really interesting is when you say, okay, what if I just invited the whole world to hack me? And the very first reaction to most organizations have is like, whoa, wait a minute, like that sounds super scary. But the reality is the bad guys don't need your permission to hack you, right? So the bad guys are doing it anyways, right? So like all you're doing is leveling the playing field, and you say, okay, I want to invite anybody that's an ethical hacker or anybody that, is not looking to, be nefarious here. If they can report a vulnerability to me, I'll pay them a certain amount of money. And so you say, for vulnerabilities of these natures, I'll pay you this much money, and so on and so forth. And so there's whole platforms that have
And all the big companies,
hundreds.
right? Like Apple and Google and
Yeah.
Well, let me start by saying they're really a continuum. You start with cyber harassment, and it's the others, cyberbullying, cyber stalking, are really subsets of that. The harassment online, if it's targeting a minor as in a cyberbullying scenario, or the more serious would be cyber stalking, where they're using the online presence, the online tracking and types of behavior. Cyber stalking would be at the extreme end, but they're really on a continuum. What wouldn't you say, Todd?
Yeah, I think it is. And what people start out not understanding when they're engaging with people online, that other people don't have the same necessarily values that they have, and they can make a comment. I mean, if you look at whether you're a child or an adult, where things are on X or Nextdoor or any of the applications that are out there, that you can post what you think is an innocent comment, and people will begin to comment back to you. And over a period of time, you've offended somebody, and so harassment becomes them starting to hit back at you and making comments about you. Then they start targeting those comments specifically to you, and then they start trying to look you up and find you on other social media and going after you and stalking you on those other social media. So Arts Continuum can be very simple comment made by one person that turns into something that's far more worse towards the end. And we had no intention of, getting that kind of attention from somebody online that we don't even know. And it's
Right.
it's a terrible thing.
Oh, it's very easy to come up with a deep fake of me. Yes.
Yeah, and remember we were also talking about this recent case. I don't know, is it last year or this year, about this Hong Kong company where a personnel, had to transmit $25 million worth of payment, and then and how did that happen, right? He received an email. From what I read, he received an email, relatively suspicious. But what happened was he went into this video call with all the executives.
Right.
And basically, it was a recreation of all the online profiles,
Right.
to convince him that it was a legitimate transfer that he had to do.
Right. So I want everybody listening to think about that. Imagine getting called into a meeting at work, or if you don't work currently, but you did, or you're part of an association or whatever. Just think about being called into a meeting, and there's everybody sounding the way they sound, speaking the way they speak, same speech patterns, recognizable. And there were was there 5 of them? Was that how many were in there? I think.
I think from the
Something like that.
picture, like 6 or 7, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But imagine being in a room full of people and then
Yeah.
finding out later you were the only human in the room. This is not science fiction. This is AI fact in 2025 and 2026.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary. And coming to think of it, right? Like 90% of us are visual creatures.
Yes.
Right. So seeing is believing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we may not believe when we read the text, but we're seeing, all the faces, the familiar faces. So that's interesting, right? In terms of like how online safety right now is like being hugely eroded with the advancement of technology.
Because the second that most predatory people, no matter what the technology is, whether it's hands-on predation in a schoolyard or it's sending still pornographic photos, or it's doing what we're doing now, which is creating generative AI and prompts and stuff. Whatever the predatory behavior and strategy is, for most predatory people, they follow the classic rules of nature. They follow the path of least resistance and greatest security. If they are inconvenienced as a predator in any way, chances are they're going to move on. If they believe that they're being detected, they're going to move on. So that early intervention, I think, is really what's key for parents if their child is about to be or is slowly being drawn into this kind of activity.